Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2026. It is great to be back on here. I wanted to start 2026 off in a very productive way here and get a video out here as kind of part of a new series, just mostly to document my journey through this Nasdaq market as I see it, as I go through and am developing as my printer finishes up whatever the heck it is doing. So I really just wanted to get on here and basically just kind of talk about what I'm seeing before the week starts so that I have a way to measure myself after the fact and can also kind of come back to it at a later time to see where I've grown and how I've developed over time. So this is the first week of the year. Tomorrow, Sunday, the 4th of January, is the start of my first full week and most other people's first full week of January. So I do not have any kind of discussion for comparing last week and how it panned out. I was not paying attention to the market last week, enjoying my holidays, and am now kind of sitting back down really for the first time tonight, Saturday, January 3rd, 2026, to really kind of focus back in on my market, the Nasdaq, and really just get comfortable looking at it again and kind of talking about what I'm seeing. So this is Friday, January 2nd, 2026. And that is a massive wick here on the daily chart. That is where we are starting this discussion. Right away, with seeing this, my initial bias for next week is going to be bearish. We had this massive sell off here. Main parts that I saw was this is a daily SIBI here, right over the quadrant level, the low of that coming in at 25,794 even, and Friday's high coming in at 25,803.50. So not even really getting to half of that gap and failing to reach this consequent encroachment, or not consequent encroachment of the gap and the upper quadrant of this 20-day look back that I have. I have right here my vertical line delineating 20 days back, and I'm looking at the highest high and the lowest low in the last 20 days, and I am basically grading it with the quadrant levels very much from ICT, as I only trade ICT concepts. And so looking at that, seeing the failure to reach the midpoint of the gap and this upper quadrant, very bearish there. And obviously closing down here below the consequent encroachment of the 20-day look back and just below the consequent encroachment of this suspension block here and buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. So that is what is setting the stage for my initial bias here for the week of January 4th. And going down into a 4-hour chart here, zooming out just a little bit here, just seeing that move on Friday kind of in a little bit more detail and a little bit clearer on why I want to see lower prices. So we fell short this week, just in general, of this new day opening gap from December 12th, 2025. And that was right after the FOMC in December, the rally up, and just really dropping from there. We came back to about a 75-80% retracement here on the charts here, which, as ICT teaches, is the optimal trade entry. We were really respecting that there and have started selling off again. which is very nice to see. This 4-hour displacement here on Friday on the 10 a.m. candle was very obvious, and that kind of just is what jumps out here. We obviously have some stuff down here below the lower quadrant of the 20-day look back, right there at 25,196.75. That is kind of my initial target that I want to see delivered lower on the week, and partly because of all of this right here below it. The big thing that caught my eye was those two gaps right there. This is what I trade and I call my Venom gap, which is my take on it, because ICT has not fully taught it. So it is what I use in my trading model and kind of what I've centered my model around. Seeing this on a 4-hour chart here, I want to see it get used, and I want to see price kind of come down into it. This gap also overlapping this upper quadrant of this daily suspension block, and it is overlapping the consequent encroachment of the 20-day look back, is what makes my attention on this gap so much. I don't know better words for that. But also the fact that we took out buy side there. We took buy side coming into this daily civvy, and then we displaced lower with this gap, taking out sell side. So we have also had a bearish market structure shift on the 4-hour chart after buy side liquidity was taken. So there is a lot going on here to show lower prices, and just a smidge more detail here on the 1-hour chart. As you can see, the 10 a.m. candle is where this displacement lower really started. The rest of the candles of the 4-hour chart kind of don't show it, because obviously these are all grouped. It's 10, 11, 12, and 1. All 4 of those candles are on one candle on the 4-hour chart. So it looks different. It is definitely a bigger gap than shown on the 4-hour, but I care about the 4-hour level for now, and I am not really too concerned with making the 1-hour chart more accurate at this time before seeing the open on Sunday night. So the big thing I saw here was the fact that we did fail to reach that upper quadrant here of the 20-day look back, as well as the midpoint. As you can see, that upper quadrant is basically also the midpoint of this gap here. Again, all the way back on the daily chart is where we see that gap here. That is Monday, December 29th's gap from the low created on this Friday, December 26th to the high created on Tuesday, December 30th. There is only one candle down passing through there, which is a sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency. Bringing that forward, we see here that is very bearish, and that is, again, what I am anchoring my analysis to. We did already start digging back into it here to kind of close the day on Friday. What I want to do, or what I want to see, is I want to see price respect this 4-hour. I don't want to see it at all kind of come back up here to this daily level. Respecting the 1-hour level would be even better, but I am allowing it for the 4-hour. What I want to see is right there, that is the midpoint of the gap, that upper quadrant of the daily suspension block. I want to see price kind of stay below that level. Again, wicks are okay up here, but I want to see the bodies really respecting that and dropping lower. The big concern I have right now and why this would not deliver this week, again, I want to see right down here, the 25,196.75. And I want to see it if it can accelerate even lower, we have this Venom gap there. And then we also have the 20-day look back low of 24,887.75. But gap risk is a big concern. I really want to see where the Sunday open happens. And that is mostly due to the geopolitical events that are happening in the world right now, with the U.S. invading Venezuela. Definitely could be cause for higher manipulation, and just not typical price action, and just manipulation in these markets that really are just going to be to damage both sides of the market potentially. And then also, this is the first full week of the year, and so I don't want to demand the most from myself. I am going to be demanding that everything lines up and is precise. But if I'm not seeing that, I am not demanding that I take a trade. This is one of my favorite weeks to trade of the year because it is a non-farm payroll week. And I find that those are typically just my bread and butter weeks. So I am pretty confident I will find something. The only other concern is if it runs without me, because it has already started its move. I don't believe that is likely. It could happen in the London session on Monday morning, but I am anticipating that it will not happen until the New York session on Monday, and is where I'm going to be looking for that short. That should give price, I guess, enough time to dig up here and kind of show traders that it wants to go higher and then ultimately drop lower, kind of going into the equities open at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, that was a mouthful. I hope it was clear enough for you to follow. That is what I am looking for this week of January 4th of 2026. If I do take a trade, I will make sure to kind of break it down and post a video recapping that. If I do not place a trade, I will see you guys again on next Saturday with another breakdown. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.